welcome back to Boudoir and Beyond. Today's episode, I have my friend Courtney here. She's another boudoir photographer. Courtney, can you introduce yourself to everybody and let them know what your Instagram handle is and where they can follow you and all the things?
Hi, I'm Courtney. I am at Courtney Rose Studios on Instagram and on everything else, actually.
Nice. TikTok and everything.
TikTok, Facebook,
So
Courtney
if you guys
Rose
want to
Studios.
follow her, that's where you're going to find her. Courtney and I met on the internet. It sounds like a dating thing, but we met on the internet just like everybody else does nowadays. And we just became like super close. We've done a trip to Colorado. I actually went to visit her in Florida a couple years back. That was
You shot
good
my
times.
maternity photos.
Yeah, in the snow.
All the fun, negative 17 degrees.
Yeah, that was a little intense.
It's cold.
Not what we're used to at all. I've never seen snow like that before. And we're supposed to be going to Utah together in March. So you guys better book her because she's super talented. And she's definitely one of the people that I recommend if you want dark and moody. If you're looking for something similar to my work, Courtney's your girl. She is in Kentucky right now.
Yeah.
So if you have, anybody in that area looking for a shoot, hit her up. Okay, so for this episode, it's going to be a little bit more geared towards photographers. But if you're not a photographer, of course, you're welcome to still stay and watch. Just a little reminder, we are on every podcast platform possible. So follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, and Apple. So anyways, we did an anonymous box because we wanted to ask other photographers questions that they wanted us to answer. So if you don't know what the anonymous box is, I post it on my stories every once in a while, and I let people kind of ask anonymously questions that, maybe they don't want their face attached to. So like I said, these are questions that other photographers have asked, and I'm sure maybe even non-photographers. But before we get to the questions, I do have a couple of questions for you that are a little bit more so people can kind of get to know who you are. So first question, what do you shoot with? What brand?
A Canon.
Okay. Do you know
Mark 5.
Okay, Mark 5.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite lens?
Probably my Zoom. 25-70.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that one.
I shoot with a Canon as well. I just got the, oh my gosh, what is the new one? The R6 a while back.
Oh, that's right.
I love it. It's the mirrorless. There's something about just like getting a new camera.
Like the mirrorless?
Yes.
Is that what makes it?
Yes.
I think it's time for an upgrade.
You definitely should do it.
Okay.
It's very seamless. I don't know if before you did boudoir, did you shoot any other type of photography, or has it just always been boudoir?
Yeah, I would shoot like family, friends, like, seniors.
Okay.
Just like
did you ever do weddings or any events?
I did weddings a couple times, but a couple bridezillas took me out of the game.
Okay. Well, do you remember when you shot weddings and you would have to stand in the front and you would have to get the bride coming down the aisle? Okay. You know how nerve-wracking that is?
Yeah, you're just standing there with your
everybody's
RBF.
staring at you.
You just got your camera and you're just like, let's go. We're ready.
Well, when I started, I shot with a T3i Rebel, like,
oh my God.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Weddings?
Weddings, everything. Like, everything under the sun. And then I upgraded to I think it's a 5D Mark II or 6D Mark II. I don't remember. But anyways, those cameras are really loud. The shutter is loud.
Yeah.
The R6 is so quiet.
You can't hear it?
Yes, you can't hear it. It's like crisp, like small, just click. Like,
so it's like, are you even working?
Yeah. And it's so light compared to the other ones that
that's nice.
I had the 24-70 glued to my camera all the time. Now I shoot with a 24-105. So I have a bigger range, but it's so light compared to the 60s.
I totally said 25.
You did say 25. It's okay.
I'm like, wait, now that you say 24, I'm like, totally 24.
I knew what you meant.
Do I even know? No, it's just on my camera. It's ready to go.
So you would say the 24-70 then is your favorite. Yeah, that's a good one. But
after shooting yours.
Oh, that's right. You did use it.
Remember?
Yeah,
I was like,
right.
oh
You're
my
like,
God, I need this. As soon as I went home, I bought it.
Yeah. Have you always been a Canon girl?
Yeah. Actually, my first starter camera was Nikon.
Okay.
Yeah, that
was
went
it
out
a
the
point
window.
and shoot though, or was it like a DSLR?
No, it was a DSLR.
Oh, okay.
But
I had a point and shoot Nikon.
Did you?
Yeah, and I was like,
oh,
this
man.
thing sucks.
It was not good, right? Okay, and now anytime I pick up somebody else's Nikon, I'm like,
It's so
Why?
foreign, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, ew, why are you a Nikon person?
Right? Like,
sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I want you to tell me either your funniest or your worst client experience.
Oh my God.
I can tell you mine if you want to think about yours.
Let me think about it.
Okay. So, and I had permission to share this story, okay?
Well, shit.
So I had a client one time tell me that her boobs, like I can't even like finish it. She said that her boobs were like a hammerhead shark because they looked in two different directions.
Oh my God.
And that memory lives rent-free in my head. Ever since she said that, I died laughing. I mean, and
I'm going to think
first
about
of
that
all,
now.
she was very comfortable with me. I don't, I would never share a story that a client wouldn't let me share. And she let me. She was like fine with it. But I could not stop laughing after she said that because I've never heard somebody compare it to that. And I was like, okay, I don't want to say I can see that, but like.
That is funny. Oh my gosh, I won't see it any different now.
Yeah.
You've ruined me. I'm literally gonna have to like not laugh if that happens now because oh my God.
I mean, people use humor to kind of like get over their nerves, especially in boudoir. Like, if you can't like laugh at yourself or like something slipping out or whatever, like, come on.
If you can't have a good time, absolutely.
Yeah, you have to be. We say you have to be comfortable, but I mean, really the comfortability comes from us. Like, we have to make you comfortable enough to be vulnerable to do a boudoir shoot.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely like what makes the experience for my girls is like
absolutely
they walk in and they're like, oh, I like feel like I already know you.
Yes.
Or it's just like that 10 minutes in hair and makeup where you're like, making them laugh, getting to know them, bonding over trauma.
Yeah.
That is like the biggest thing I find with my clients. Like we have some sort of past trauma like that and we just bond during hair and makeup and it's great for all of us involved. It's free therapy.
Yes, absolutely.
We love free therapy.
No, and it helps you just, I don't know, put you in a different mindset and get you ready for the shoot because it is nerve-wracking. And okay, that was actually another question I had for you. Have you done your own boudoir shoot and how many have you done if you have?
Yeah, I've been shot multiple times actually, and then I also do my own. Yeah, I don't even know how many. Oh, for sure. I used to do them all the time, a lot more before I had a baby, but I'm trying to get back into them now.
Yeah. So Courtney used to have a studio in Florida, and a lot of things happened with that poor studio. But she's in Kentucky, like I said earlier now, and so she is about to open a new studio
this next weekend.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's so crazy.
You guys better go to the grand opening. I wish I could be there, but
you will be in spirit.
I will be there in spirit, and one day I will come and see you sometime this year. I promise you that. Okay, I want to start with the questions. Let's start with the ones that people asked you. And we know that, okay, so another thing, after she closed down her studio in Florida, she did a whole year, it was a year, right? Of traveling in an RV mobile thing.
It was an RV.
All around the US with a baby.
3 months old.
Yeah.
Well, he started at 3 months old.
So.
And 4 dogs.
Of course, we have a lot of people that wanted to know more about that. So the first question was, what is the best place that you ever took photos while you were traveling?
Oh my God, that's so hard because
How many states did you go to? I mean,
I think we shot in 19 different states.
Dang.
18 or 19 in 2023.
Okay.
And then, we had different ones prior just to travel out.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to pick just one.
Yeah.
Because
you can't ask a photographer that because it's hard to choose. Well,
like every client's experience is different.
And the ambiance of like where you like landscape wise.
Yeah. So like, oh man, I loved the Valley of Fire. The Valley of Fire was great. Salt Flats was fun. It was just very cold. Like she was out there naked on the sex swing in the middle of the Salt Flats, and it was snowing on her. And I was like, oh my God, she hates me, but she was having the time of her life.
The things that clients
she was having fun.
Anything for the shot, right?
Yeah, right. Anything, gotta get it. Gotta get it. And then where's
the Valley of Fire again?
Vegas.
Okay, that's what I thought.
You've shot in the Valley of Fire.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember where it wasn't. It had another name, so it was some desert.
Oh, just out there like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I I mean, California was fun, but it wasn't really like nature-y. Shooting in Yellowstone was really cool.
Oh,
just
I don't remember you shooting in Yellowstone.
Another boudoir photographer, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We celebrated her 30th on her 30th, or her birthday. Awesome. I don't know that it was 30, but it was her birthday, and we shot on her birthday, and we literally just found random spots in the national park, hopped out, got naked, shot some images, got back in, and kept going. It was fun. It was a good time.
So would you say there's a specific place that you would go back and do it again? Like,
outdoors?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I would definitely go back to Vegas.
Okay. That's so funny because I'm not a Vegas fan.
No.
I mean, like,
I
shot other people and I also got shot.
What? Bang, bang.
So, and when we went, we went in March. So it was cold, but it was also hot. Like, it was hot during the day and then cold at night. Obviously, it's the desert.
Right.
So, when people were photographing me, it was really hot. And so I was kind of miserable a little bit. And you have to hide it in your face when you're in front of a camera. And then you have like
sweating
30 photographers in front of you and trying not to like, and them telling you like what to do. And you trying not to like step in a certain spot that'll like where you'll fall or hurt yourself, or if there's bugs or, you know, whatever. Like, that's another thing. Like, people don't understand when you're shooting in nature, like,
it's not for the weak.
No.
You can ask any of my girls this past year. Like, it is not for the weak. There's girls that were out there and nothing but tennis shoes just to hike to our spot. Like, it was crazy. Or they're laying across rocks, or, you know, you're looking for scorpions or whatever you're doing. Like,
was there anything in specific that you traveled with that like you would recommend for your clients? Like maybe like a towel or like that, like extra shoes or whatever that you were like, you have to bring this?
I mean, usually, like, I would say bring a towel, but because I love getting my clients wet. Like, water is my jam.
Yes.
So, but I always have that on deck. Like, I literally, like, carried, like, a first aid kit and literally everything they need. There was always water in the back of my Jeep. Like, we always had, like, an umbrella. Not necessarily that we were ever using it, but, you know, like, I just had all of that. So, I don't think I would necessarily tell them to bring anything, but if you are the photographer providing that experience, then you need to be ready, because shit happens.
Yeah.
Shit happens out there, and you need to be ready.
Yeah, sunscreen, bug spray.
Bug spray is a big one. We got eaten up in multiple places, actually. So, but it's always like worth it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it always comes out so good.
We can edit out. I'm like, I know we're not supposed to say that, but
I mean, if you have a rock indent on your butt, like, that's obviously not on your butt. I'm going to take that out for sure.
Okay, the other question was, after traveling, what is the best place to live and why?
After traveling, well, I obviously have to say Kentucky.
Because that's where she is.
That's where I landed. I really came close to California and Colorado.
Okay,
I honestly landed in Kentucky because it was a feeling. Like, it just felt like home.
Yeah.
I think that
what was it about Colorado and California? The weather? For me, that's what it is for those two.
Colorado was just beautiful. And I think it was the energy there.
Yeah.
California, 100% the energy. Like, I felt my soul was like lit on fire by just the city rush.
Yeah.
And I realized I could not do that.
Okay.
I could not do that every day. But it's a good, like, ooh, light me up, like, when I need it, you know? But definitely not somewhere I could live. Like, it took me 2.5 hours to go, like, what should have been 30 minutes every time I got off or done working. So that was rough. But
okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kentucky's home now.
Kentucky's home now.
Okay. We're going to get into more of like the nitty gritty that people asked. So the first one, and we can kind of take turns or you can just chime in when you want to, but how nervous were you to start your business? I'm terrified, but I can't shake off the idea to start. Being self-employed is not for the weak. Period, like at all, ever. So you have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, because lots of things will happen when you start your business that you don't expect. And so I think being nervous is totally normal.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that it takes a very determined and driven person.
Absolutely.
Because shit goes wrong. At like everything, it feels like everything all at once too. So I think that you have to want it more, and there has to be a passion behind the money, because if you can't back it up with absolutely head over heels, like loving your job, then you're not going to make it past that 5-year mark.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You're just not.
Yeah, and a lot of small businesses fail within the first 3 years, right?
3 to 5, yeah.
Yeah, so I think nerves are absolutely normal. I think you should just ride the wave, ride the nerves.
Yeah.
You have to, like you said, you have to have passion behind what it is that you're starting. And in photography, I mean, it took me, I've been doing photography, this year will be 13 years.
Nice.
And it took me I think the first 5 years, I shot basically everything under the sun. Weddings, seniors, families, kids, personal branding, and then finally did Boudoir. And it took me like 5 years to finally find my niche, which was Boudoir. And I was like, wow, I love this. I want to do this forever.
Yeah.
So trial and error. I mean, like, it takes time, a lot of practice. So
yeah, I mean, I just think like you just have to go for it. There's no like it's just how it is. And even when you are established, like it's not steady.
Yeah.
Like you have to make the sales. You have to be able to put in the marketing hours. Like you don't get to just start a business and let it do well and then fall off. Like you have to keep your drive or you will sink.
Yeah. And things are so different nowadays. Like, I mean, I just told you I've been doing photography for 13 years. The way that social media has changed over the last 5 years even. Like
ridiculous.
So you constantly have to keep up with the way that technology changes and moves and, you know, upgrading your gear or like whatever it may be.
Social
your
media
education.
guidelines.
Yeah. Community guidelines on social media. So again, going back to the question, like, nerves are totally normal. I mean, if you're not nervous, if you're not scared about your goals, then they're not big enough.
Yep. Amen.
As cheesy as that sounds. Okay, the next question. How has the business been with the insane inflation rates and people spending less overall? And I can start off with this one, but every election year, it's always just like terrible for anybody in the sales world. You've never noticed that? Or thought about it, yeah.
Oh my God.
It's very common. And this year's election year, for those of you that don't know. So we're not going to talk politics, but for me, I don't want to say things are slow. They are slower than normal, but I'm still keeping up with what I need. I'm still booking clients. I'm still getting inquiries. And somebody's busy month can be somebody else's slow month. So that's kind of like a hard question to answer. You have to kind of, I guess, pick and choose like how much sales you're trying to make, how many clients you're trying to accept or take in a month, and then kind of go off of that. Because like for me, for example, when I had my studio, I wanted to have anywhere between 4 to 6 clients a month. I didn't want more than that. If I had more, I was stressed out.
Yeah.
I wasn't meeting deadlines. You know, like there's so many other things. And all of this goes into play once you do get more practice and are into your business for several years. It's just how it goes. It's not something that you're going to know from the beginning.
And like a good business owner is going to plan for the slower months.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you're going to be setting that money aside knowing like, I only have so many clients this month, or like I need one more client to make, you know, this, and this.
Yes.
Like you just
tax season is also really slow.
Yeah, until they get them back.
Yeah.
Right.
People like to wait and see, because I mean, a lot of people have to pay money back to the IRS.
That's another thing about being a business owner.
Fun times.
It's a good time. It's a great time. Find yourself a good accountant.
Or a CPA that will keep up with your stuff all year long.
Yes. Oh my God. Mine's amazing.
But yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, it's not super busy, but it's busy enough. I'm not complaining. Okay, next question. And we laughed about this one earlier, but how do you hype yourself up when imposter syndrome hits?
Ugh.
Listen, we all go through it. Even people that have been in business for years.
Yeah. It just happens. Like, I just feel like I just kind of take a little break.
Yeah.
Like, I just step back and I stop comparing. Like, I have to get off of social media because I'm really big. Like, I also have to remind myself that not everybody's feed looks like mine.
Yeah.
So I'm comparing apples to oranges.
Correct.
Like, nobody else is scrolling like, oh my God, Becky is doing such and such. Like, you know what I mean? That was a fake name, but
yeah.
But you know, it just, you have to step back and give yourself some grace.
Yes.
And then also you need to be confident in where you've come from and
how much you've grown.
How much you've grown. And then just take the bull by its horns, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, with business, like, it's ebbs and flows. Like, again, it's another thing that you just have to learn as a business owner. Like, going from point A to point B. And actually, for those of you that have been following my crazy Instagram chronicles, basically, I had to remove, like, I don't know, like 80% of my feed the other day.
Too much.
Because, like, it doesn't even look like, because I had a lot of stuff, you know, that went against community guidelines or whatever. And
does the community even know the guidelines?
At this point? Yeah, I think they're just,
does
like,
Instagram
trolls.
know their guidelines?
Yeah. So with imposter syndrome, like, it's really easy to start comparing yourself to other people like that. Like, in the sense of what I just went through, like, I'd be like, oh, well, this other photographer can post this, this, and this. Why can't I? Like, why am I getting flagged?
Oh,
you know,
I stay right there.
Yeah.
I stay there.
We all go through that.
I stay mad at Instagram.
Or like an idea that you came up with and somebody else used it and they didn't credit you.
Oh my God.
I mean, that's so all of that goes.
You want to address that one?
So
I'll just leave it there. If you're going to take a shot off of somebody's profile and you're not going to credit them,
you're wrong for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had an instance the other day where
that is an imposter. Give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in this tight-knit community that is photography and boudoir specifically.
Yeah.
Like, I know our clients might not see it, but there are people that follow several boudoir photographers and they know whose work is what.
Right.
And they'll know, like, oh,
it's not
that looks
so
familiar.
much like the fact that, like, they're doing it. Like, great, do it. I'm glad you found my work inspirational.
Yeah.
But, like, give me credit because I'm sitting here thinking of all these different ideas and you're just scrolling your feed and swiping them and throwing them into your next session. And it just feels rude. Like, I feel robbed. And I understand, like, yes, there's only so many things you could do, blah, blah, blah. But, like, just give the credit. That's it. Like, not every shot.
I actually have something to piggyback on that. I had an experience within the last couple of weeks where I had another photographer steal my images, like legit screenshot off of my Instagram and use them in their own group.
That's hardcore.
And that is a big, do not do that. Whether you're starting out, whether you've been in business for I don't care how many years, you don't do that. If you're trying to do something new that was something inspired by another photographer, you do a model call and then use your images, your own images. Do not take other people's pictures and try to pass it off your own or, like, again, not credit them, which, by the way, you should always ask the photographer.
I've definitely had girls reach out and ask because they, like, want to do, like, water steps or something. And that doesn't bother me so much. Like, as long as you're giving me the credit that it's my work. So when they show up and you shoot that session with them, they're not expecting my work.
Yeah, what your work looks like.
They're going to expect whatever you're producing. And, you know, like, don't lead your clients with, like, false, you know, just be upfront. Like, these are not my images, but this is what I'm working towards.
Yes, yeah.
So that's just kind of where I'd leave that one.
Yeah. But, yeah, that whole situation, I mean, we see it so often, like in photography in general. So just a little PSA out there to new photographers or old. If you've been in this business quite a while, you should know. You should know better. Okay, so moving on. This one says, I've always been into taking photography. What's a good mid-level camera to start with? I mean, I guess it depends on what brand you want to go for. Obviously, we're Canon girls, so we're going to recommend Canon.
Yeah, I was about to say, well, I guess the one I have. That's where I am, because I would never tell you Nikon.
Yeah, I mean, I started with a T3i, which feels like ages ago, which is a Rebel. I literally bought it on Amazon for like $500 during Cyber Monday when I decided I wanted to get a professional DSLR, you know? I mean, it did the job. And then I upgraded, like I said, to the 5D Mark II, which that I feel like was more mid-level for me. Now that I have the R6, I'm like, I like that area the most, or I would recommend that one.
Yeah, I think I'd agree.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
I don't really know too much about I'm not a Sony girl. I actually just got the Panasonic Lumix, which is the one that we're using right now for the podcast. And my friends use it all the time. They do videography and stuff with it. It's a really good camera, but that's all I know. Don't ask me any more details.
They have to be good. There's 3 of them.
Okay. This next one. Are you a self-taught boudoir photographer or did you learn from a fellow photographer? I feel like we're all both. I mean,
yeah.
So I've done a lot of, I did several like in-person and online mentorships and workshops. When I started photography in general, I didn't. Like I just picked up my camera and I was like, I'm going to go and practice on my kid, my friends' kids, you know, families and whatever, and just kind of go from there. But when I started Boudoir, I did do an online workshop first. And then I started going to in-person stuff. So I guess I'm both.
Yeah, so I am definitely both. I was mentored starting out, and then I grew my education within like guides and with my equipment, YouTube, actually. I think I learned YouTube a lot on YouTube.
So good.
Like Phlearn, Phlearn.
Yeah.
Learn. They're so good. I learned a lot from them. And then, yeah, I mean, I just continued education on it. So as far as like posing goes, I guess I learned a lot of that in my mentorship. And also, I feel like that comes naturally to the eye.
I think so too. Like, but it also comes with a lot of practice.
Right.
I mean, you don't really know what you're looking at, especially if you don't know how to use your camera. That's another big thing too. If you don't know your settings, if you don't know your lighting, and you don't necessarily have to have your own studio in order to learn all of that stuff. Because when I started Boudoir, I shot out of hotels. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And I used like lighting and everything.
Some random person just pulling up to a hotel.
Literally, like, yeah, I would do marathons and I had several clients that would come and just like meet me. My hair and makeup artist was there. We would shoot and then they would leave and the next person would come because I did marathons all the time because I didn't have my own space and I was still trying to learn posing and everything. And I don't recommend shooting out of hotels. They have terrible lighting, especially, again, if you're new and you don't know, like, your camera settings. Maybe you don't even know how to use lighting. Like, I don't recommend that. I recommend what you did, getting a mentor, doing a mentorship, whether it's online or in person, because you can learn way faster and so much more. In the beginning, you're like a child.
Yeah.
You soak up everything because it's exciting. It's new.
It is.
So mentorships, I think, are the way to go. Definitely find somebody that you resonate with. Doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that's in state. You can travel to them.
I mean, I feel like I would pick my like top idol, like who I like looked up to, and that's like who I would want to learn from, no matter like what the cost is, because obviously one day if I work hard enough, I'd be on their level. Yeah. So they're worth the money, you know? But I definitely feel like starting out, like education on posing.
Yes.
You can do
especially,
so much damage.
Oh my gosh, in Boudoir.
Yes. To people.
In sync here.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. When it comes to posing in Boudoir, it's I don't want to say it's very specific. It's very intricate. It is like glorified yoga is what I call it, because you are holding a lot of poses, and your clients aren't comfortable with that, especially if they're not athletic or they don't, you know, do yoga ever.
So you can't have them there forever, especially if you're out in the wild too.
That too.
Like, you got them laying across hot rocks.
Like start adding Mother Nature elements and all of that. But I mean, if you were in a controlled environment, let's say we are in a studio, you're gonna want to learn from somebody who has been doing it for a long time, who has like good recommendations by other people that maybe have done a mentorship with them. And you just have to like their work also, obviously. If you want your work to look like theirs or whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of mentors out there. I've done mentorships. I know she has. So just kind of pick who you like the most, I guess.
Yeah, I really feel like it's whoever like you resonate with.
Yeah.
Like that's who you want to learn from, because at the end of the day, that's who you're aspiring to be.
Yes, yeah. And that can be in anything. It doesn't necessarily just have to be shooting. Like there's a lot of people that I know that are photographers that are really good with like client experience, maybe even like the reels they make, the captions they, storytelling,
sales,
all of that stuff is so different.
Right.
Because as a photographer and as a business owner, you wear so many hats. That's why self-employment and photography in general is so difficult and why a lot of people quit or they just do it as a hobby. Because they don't want, there's more than the eye.
Don't realize the hours that go in after.
Yes.
Like, it's not just like we're shooting you and we get to go home and edit them and that's it.
Yeah.
Like not that editing doesn't
there's
take like
prep
a long time.
Before, there's contracts.
The communication.
Big time.
And
then obviously you want your clients to know who you are, which actually is another thing that I wanted to talk about. I have so many followers that are photographers that I have no idea what you look like because you never post your face. You never like go on your stories. And I'm like, you're introducing yourself to me in person. I'm like, who are you? I don't even... What is your Instagram handle? Because you don't show up.
I know you by your Instagram. Introduce yourself at Courtney Rose Studios.
Yeah, literally.
Nice to meet you.
I'm like, so I'm coming after y'all. Anybody who does not share their face, like, if I don't know who you are, don't come at me because it's your fault.
I don't think I've had that happen yet, but I mean, I'm not as in person with people as much as you are.
Yeah.
I'm never around.
But how important is it though? Isn't it?
Well, yeah, like definitely like putting your face online for sure. I have my client today literally said, oh my God, I feel like I already know you as soon as she was walking up to the door. And that is honestly like the biggest compliment.
I was going to say it's one of the best feelings from
it's
clients.
so hard to one, put yourself out there on the internet, but to like to have people just accept you for what you are putting out there and knowing that they're choosing you just for who you are on like what you present to them. That's just such a good feeling.
Yes. Yeah. And especially when they go in there, they tell their friends.
Oh yeah. We do love that.
Okay. Here's another interesting one. Are people courteous enough to get waxed before a spicy shoot? Do you recommend people go and do that?
I don't even care. Like you're rocking what you're rocking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I mean, some girls think a bush is hot. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'll shoot your bush.
And guys,
I'll drip honey in it. Go ahead, play. Like, I mean, it's really your
personal preference. Yeah.
Absolutely. Who am I to tell you clean it up or
not?
Like, what?
I agree. I totally agree. Okay, this next one. Do you think there's too much competition in boudoir photography? And do you have any tips on standing out in a saturated market? I'm like, do I think it's saturated? Photography in general, yes, I guess. I mean, there's photographers for everything, but like, look at us. She's another boudoir photographer, and here I am, like, recommending her in Kentucky. Like,
right, but like, at the end of the day, like, what's really your competition?
Yourself.
Exactly. There's so many people in this world that if you're afraid of so-and-so down the road taking 5 clients from you,
that's a you problem.
You have a bad head. Like you are in a bad mindset and you're here for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
Like if you're not looking for someone to just empower, you're worried about how many sessions she has.
You're never going to grow as a business owner, as a photographer.
Right.
And again, if anything, you should be asking that person, like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, can you help me?
Can you help me? Why don't we tag team? Let's have the events together. Let's promote each other. Because, I mean, you could be a totally different style than them.
Yeah.
You could be a totally different personality than them.
I mean, you and I both shoot dark and moody, and there's still a big difference between our work. Like, people recognize what yours looks like, what mine looks like.
Sure.
So, do I think it's saturated? That can go for anything. I mean, like, any service.
I think everything's saturated.
Lawyers,
like
doctors, like
everybody wants to be their own boss, and I don't feel like giving anyone like telling someone else like, oh, it's too saturated just to keep them out of the market is fair.
No.
Like their art is different than mine, and you should be able to create the way you want.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what would be a tip for somebody to stand out then in a saturated market?
You better have a good personality.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like my personality really does set me apart. Like, Florida was pretty saturated, whatever.
Yeah.
But still, word of mouth kept me booked just because of the client's experience. Like, whether they're whipping out their photos or not, it doesn't matter. They're leaving on a high knowing that we just had a damn good time giggling the entire time. They left feeling hot as hell. They look hot as hell. And that's what they're there to remember. And that's what they're going to look at their images and think. Like,
and they'll remember the experience because of you.
Right.
Not because of other photographers, so-and-so down the street or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess for me, a tip on standing out, I mean, I kind of mentioned this already. Show your face.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely show your face. I think,
like you said, your personality.
Put your personality online.
Don't be afraid to show up and be on camera and like say what you need to say. I mean, your clients are looking for you specifically, your personality, your whatever you have to offer.
Right.
That maybe Courtney can't. I don't know. Yeah. You know. So
you're right.
I think that's pretty simple.
That is right.
Oh, this is a good one. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned about being a business owner?
Biggest lesson, I honestly, raise your prices.
Oh,
I should have raised my prices long ago.
So there was, I don't remember who it was that said it to me. I don't remember if it was a mentor of mine or where I saw it, to be honest. But I remember this person saying, as soon as you sell your highest package, you need to raise your prices.
Yeah.
I live by that.
I totally have heard that before. I agree. I think that letting go of the money blocks.
Yes.
That's really hard to do.
It is, especially when you're not used to charging people in the thousands.
Right.
I was making a list of all of the clients that I've ever had, or that have reached out or whatever. And I've also been putting, if that person bought anything, how much they spent, all of that.
That's good.
And that was one of the big things for me too, was like trying to see how much that person spent and me realizing how much I charged them and now what I charge.
Right.
And looking back and I'd be like, well, I wasn't confident in charging what I charge now.
Absolutely.
Obviously, I would never recommend that to somebody that's just starting out.
I don't think you can definitely
charge your
start out. I mean, if you start out in your top tier, sure, go ahead. But I think there's room for growth.
Absolutely.
And if you try to start out at the top and you're not delivering the top, then what are you going to deliver when you are at the top?
Correct. Yeah. So, I remember the first time that I finally went into the thousands and I made that first sale and I was like, somebody bought this? Like, I can do that? That's was funny. On such a high.
That's cute. I mean, I definitely do a little dance every time.
Yeah.
Any of them, because obviously my prices are set to where.
The thing is too, obviously we're business owners, so we get excited about money. We have bills to pay,
Yeah,
but
it's not necessarily that. It's just more so wow, somebody actually
believed
sees
in
the art that I knew I could create.
Yes.
They saw the worth
value
in it. Yeah, absolutely. That feels good.
Yes.
That's why we're doing little dances.
Yes.
Because not only are we creating art and making women feel good, we are exploring our passions and living out our dreams.
Yes. Yeah. And you should not be broke. Do not be a broke artist. Just to fit in a narrative for people, again.
You might start out broke.
Do y'all know how much cameras cost and lenses?
Right? Oh my goodness. Shoot spaces. There's a lot of overhead. There's a lot. That's another thing if you're starting out. You do the math.
Yeah.
Do the math. Don't just jump right into a studio. That's hard.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, no.
And no paid ads.
Well.
I mean, here and there, but don't spend, not starting out. Don't spend a ton.
No, you have to do
ads.
your education on that stuff before you even get to that road. This is a good one. What is the hardest part about being a full-time boudoir photographer?
Telling random people my job. So in
public.
Oh
my gosh, it's so hard. Whenever they, you're on a plane. Or something and they see your phone.
Oh my gosh, I do not even scroll my feed in public anymore. I remember sitting at the doctor's office one day and I was scrolling my feed and there was some guy sitting next to me and he literally leaned over and he was like, do I even want to know what you do for a living?
Ew.
And I was like, you cannot look at my phone.
You don't have a privacy screen?
No, because the tones when you post.
Are different.
Yeah, I'm weird like that.
Well, it depends on what your brightness is on too.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole different story.
For me, the hardest thing is time management. I mean, it can go along with just, I didn't want to like limit it to boudoir photographer, but time management is hard. Because I'm a mom too. So I have to take my kid to school, come back, stay focused, and do the things that I need to do with work. Right. Go back, pick her up from school, be a mom. And then sometimes I still have work to do when I pick her up. So it's like...
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I struggle with that a little bit more just because I have a toddler.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do a lot of my work, like nap time, half the time nap time doesn't happen. So I'm working until like 3 a.m. So I really feel like the dedication is what that entails. Like you have to narrow that down.
Yeah. So we have time for one more.
Okay.
If you could go back in time, what advice would you give yourself at the beginning of your business journey?
Chin up. Chin up. Like, it's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It is seriously a roller coaster. And there's days where I'm ready to throw in the towel. But then I realize that, like, I really am changing lives. Like, I really am making a difference. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what I'm here for.
I love that. I wrote mine down.
Oh my God, you're so cute.
So I wouldn't forget. The boring stuff makes you more money in business than anything else.
Ooh.
So your systems, your structure, organization, communication, and strategy.
Okay. That was a good one.
Thank you.
Damn, you just hit me like that. I was not even ready.
Yours was so inspirational, though. I'm thinking business.
Yeah, I guess I didn't go business-wise.
Yeah, so that was a big thing for me when I started. I wanted to make sure, I didn't even know that you had to have contracts, especially in boudoir, because it is so, again, intimate. You have to protect yourself as an artist, as a creative, and as a business owner, but also your client.
I feel like contracts they're not only there to protect you, but they are definitely there to protect the client as well.
Yeah.
Like I had a client this week that was like, oh, I didn't have a contract with the shoot. And now her images are on a fetish website. Like I could not imagine being that person, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Taking her images and putting them somewhere that they couldn't be. But how did you not have a contract?
Yes.
Thinking like, how did a photographer like that walk in there and be like, you know, like she could go after him if she wanted.
Yeah.
Like that's not okay.
Yeah.
So I think contracts are very big. And although it's very scary and it's hard to introduce, like it can be intimidating to be like, oh, here's my contract, like sign it. It's necessary.
Yeah.
It's definitely necessary.
Think about when you go to a lawyer. Even like dentist's office and like whatever, you're filling out all this paperwork. Why would it be any different for photography?
Right. I mean, you're working one-on-one with someone. Like you both need to be protected.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I can go into detail in another podcast about what you probably should be including, but that's a big one. And all the systems too, like whatever CRM you have, whether that's for questionnaires, invoices, anything along those lines, look for something that'll help you kind of like streamline your process and make it seamless and easy. Also for your clients, like not just for yourself, but your clients don't want to be confused getting like random things or maybe not getting anything at all. And then they have all these questions and you're like, oh, I guess I should have sent them something, you know, to like answer those questions. Like a prep guide.
Really
or
not
like
prep their clients?
Yes. I know a lot of people that just walk in and
I guess
like,
I've never thought about that. I hold my clients' hands the entire way. Like the minute they're in my DMs, like they get emails and like everything they need to know. Half of them don't read it.
Yeah.
But then they pop in my text messages and I am quick to respond or get on the phone with them and just like it's very intimidating.
Yeah.
So I could never imagine expecting someone to show up to get naked for me and I have not even prepared them for it.
Yes.
Like that's a really big thing actually now that I think about it. Wow, good.
Good one.
Good one.
Well, we're out of time, but thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Boudoir and Beyond. Like I said, make sure to follow us on every platform. Make sure to follow Courtney. And if you are in Kentucky or nearby, make sure to check out her studio. Oh, another thing. I did close down my studio, but I am still booking here in Dallas. But we are taking things on the road next month. We'll be in Utah. I still have 2 spots left. So if you're interested, please come out and see us.